in the greater Shona tribe. So ngano. Then everyone says ngano. Ngano. Then my grandmother would have a favorite story, Paivapo, Shuro Nagudo. Once upon a time there was a rabbit and there was a baboon. And these guys were friends. The baboon and the rabbit. And they used to play together. They used to walk together. They used to go stealing things together. They had escaped so many problems together. This baboon and this rabbit. Good, tight friends. And one day they decided, when they were bored sitting under a tree, decided, let's cook each other. Let's cook each other. Then the rabbit went into the pot first and put some fire there. And then the rabbit shouted, Sekuru ndocha. Like, Grandpa, I'm burning. Then Gudo, the baboon, comes and lifts up the rabbit and puts him on the side and says, now it's your turn, Sekuru, to go into the pot. Sekuru Gudo goes into the pot and then shouts, Mzukuru. Mzukuru is like grandchild. Mzukuru ndocha. Then Sekuru Gudo removed the rabbit and said, now it's your turn again, Sekuru. Sekuru goes into the pot again. Mzukuru ndocha. Then the one removes, and this one goes, Sekuru ndocha. And they removed it. As the game was going on, this time around the baboon goes into the pot. And then the rabbit puts more firewood. Mzukuru ndocha. Then the rabbit changed the story and says, Chiramo. Now, Chiramo means burn inside there. Mzukuru ndocha says, Chiramo. Mzukuru ndocha. Chiramo. And the baboon burned in the pot where the rabbit was cooking him. And then the rabbit poured out all the water, removed all the meat and gave it to the jackals, and then took the ribs of the baboon and he made himself a mbira. I'll show you what mbira looks like. He made himself a mbira. Mbira looks something like this. Mbira. So when he made himself a mbira, he started playing and singing along with his mbira that he had made from the baboon's ribs. Mbira zangu chiramo. 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 So you'll be responding when I go mbira zangu. Then you go chiramo. Mbira zangu chiramo. The mbira zangu is my mbira. Mbira zangu. Mafupa gudo mbira zangu chiramo. It's like these are the baboon's bones. Mafupa gudo mbira zangu chiramo. Mafupa gudo mbira zangu chiramo. Mbira zangu chiramo. Mbira zangu chiramo. So he was singing beautifully, enjoying himself. Then on there was a big lion that was sitting nearby, watching this and listening to this beautiful music. And he looked carefully, and wow, it was the rabbit, and he was hungry. The rabbit was still singing himself away. Mbira zangu chiramo. Mbira zangu chiramo. As he's busy singing and enjoying himself, did not know that the lion was coming closer and closer and closer to him. Finally, the lion got close enough, and when he was just about to pounce on him, the rabbit threw the mbiras very far from himself and ran and went into a hole. As he was shooting into the hole, the lion put his hand inside the hole and grabbed him by the rear foot, dragging him out of the hole. As he was just about to pull him out of the hole, the rabbit then started shouting, Sakuru, mabata mudzi. Like, Grandpa, leave that thing. You are not holding me. You are holding on to a root. You're holding a root. You missed me. You just held a root. The lion, out of anger, let go. But when he looked into his hands, ouch, there were the fangs of the rabbit still in his hand. The lion was angry and he walked away. And as the rabbit was sitting there enjoying himself, there behind him was a big python, big snake that was looking at him. Just when he thought he had escaped from one danger, there was another danger again. The lion, the python, the snake asked him, "Tell me one good reason why I must not eat you." The rabbit ran out of ideas. And the snake says, "Because you have no excuse. Before I eat you, I want you to take me on your back and carry me to the great river Save and play in your mbira while I'm sitting on your back." The rabbit took the snake on his back and he started walking out of the hall, picked up his mbira, and he was singing again, "Mbira zangu, chiramo, mbira zangu, chiramo, ndine shota iniwo, chiramo, toenda kugwizirukuru, chiramo, mbira zangu." In other words, he was singing now, combining, "Ndapona rucha, mbira zangu. I've just escaped the problem. The lion almost ate me up. Chiramo. Now I'm carrying a snake on my back. Chiramo. Mbira zangu. My mbira. Chiramo." And I'm just... So he would begin to sing his song, relating the dangers that he had escaped. But while he's playing in his hands, he is constantly reminded that the thing that has brought him his problem is that he burned his friend Angol Gudo. And after burning his friend Angol Gudo, he ended up attracting a lion by his mbiras. The mbiras have led him to another problem. Now he's met a snake. Now the snake wants to be carried. He must be carried to the river, the great river. Then Mr. Rabbit will be eaten. And on his way to his funeral at the river, "Mbira zangu, chiramo. Mbira zangu, chiramo. Mbira zangu, chiramo. Mbira zangu, chiramo." Now you look at these beautiful stories, and we'll be sitting around the fire there, trembling and afraid now of this rabbit that is carrying a snake on his back, singing a song, going to the great river where he is going to be eaten. Now, when you look at these folklore stories, you may just think that they were stories in themselves. But then the morality of these stories. And I can see lots of smiles and laughs. And I bet you some of you guys never lived with your grandfathers and grandmothers to enjoy some of these old stories that we used to share, and I have a soft spot for these old ancient stories and the lessons that they have. So number one, make good friendships. Make good friendships with other people. Make good friendships with other people. That's the first story that you have. Life is beautiful when you share it with others and you can play together. Then the second line we learn from that, you being a baboon sometimes, you can be a rabbit, deciding where you want to be sometimes. We have been placed in positions at other times in our lives where we've been forced to burn and cook in our problems. Now, this goes not only for individuals, this goes for families, this goes for communities, this goes for Africa as a whole. And I think the story of the black man is actually written in that story. That we used to play games. The white man goes into the pot, he cooks a little bit and he comes out. The black man goes into the pot, he cooks a little bit and comes out. But I think as we are looking at the history now, we have become the baboons on this particular storyline. Because now we are in the furnace and we are just asking the other person to remove us from the fire. And the story that we are now receiving is that we are all baboons. We must now burn in the fire. And this clever rabbit has decided to convert our bones into a music instrument. This is a figure of speech, a high level of philosophical speech by our ancestors, telling us how to deal with situations when they come upon us. So you may find yourself very well with friends who may leave you in a mess and leave you to cook there for a long time. And I will not find a better way of relating the African story but from that story. Another lesson we learn from those stories again, if you decide to become the rabbit, the clever one, be careful that some certain things that you do actually become the reason for attracting attention to yourself. You know, you may think that you have been able to manipulate your way out of one relationship, manipulate your way out of one problem. And you start playing your song, thinking you're having a good time with stolen things, thinking you're having a good time with other people's misery, not knowing that actually the things that you are now bragging about, the things that you are now busy being proud about, they are going to be a source of attracting troubles and problems to yourself. Problems to yourself. So the same music that you may enjoy playing on other people's bones, that music will attract bigger enemies for you. And another lesson we learn again from the whole illustration is that when crises come, you may want to throw away the things that are not important and protect your own life. But take note, there's another big lesson we learn from Mr. Lion, that when you put your hand in the hole and you hold this guy by his foot, by his rear leg, at times Africa has been told when we are holding the right things, that what we are holding on to is useless. We're told to hold on to this thing which they think it's important. But when we discover finally, when we remove our hands from our own culture, from our own traditions, from our own truth, and we look, actually we see the evidence that at one time we almost were held on to that which is important. The lesson is, do not leave or let go things that are actually the things that you're looking for, because other people tell you it's not important. You know, when you walk around life and someone says to you, this is not important, this is not important, you may want to ask yourself, it's not important to who? Because you walk up to churches, you're told your culture is not important, your history is not important, your background is not important, your mother is not important, this is not important. This is not important. Look into the mouth of this one who is saying it's not important and ask him, it's not important to who? Because sometimes you're holding on to the right thing and someone comes around and tells you, let go. I've seen ladies advising each other to divorce. And those who advise you to divorce, they are still with their husbands. Those that advise you, leave him, he's useless, he's rubbish. They are still with their boyfriends, they are still with their girlfriends, they are still in their marriages while you are sitting around listening to their advice. Is it not funny? Is it not funny? Be careful of people who tell you, Sekuru, mabatamudzi. Sekuru, mabatamudzi. Grandpa, you are holding on to the root. You are holding on to the root. Let go. You hold on to something else. Take a little bit of the past. See how put a stone where you are coming from. Where you are going, it's darkness. In other words, always put a reference to where you are coming from. You know, make relatives and make relationships good. Because Sango Idema, the forest is dark. You may never know when you get there what you're going to hit against, and you might have to come back. So take care of every place where you are in. You may have to come back here one day, seeking for the things that you'll have destroyed. And another lesson we learn from there again is that in life you are never safe. Just when you think that you are resting, you may just find that you are now facing your nightmare. The snake in the cave. And the snake has a very simple recommendation. You are going to carry me on your way to the river, and I will eat you from there. The story then reconciles the friendship between Shuro and Gudo, which is the beginning of the story. The available enemies who can eat both Shuro and Gudo. And now the relationship between Shuro and the snake, the rabbit and the snake. That you destroy a relationship this side where you and Gudo were good friends, but because of your greed, you decided to convert Gudo into a music instrument, but you used to play together. You had a good time with this one. And this time around, you may end up in a relationship where now you have to carry a snake on your back for the rest of your life, and you must cry playing your music instrument on your way to the dinner table of someone. It tells us again, how do you measure and how do you compare relationships, so that while you are running through life, don't throw away good money for bad money. Don't throw away good things for horrible things. You cannot throw away your husband, for example, because, hey, my husband, I caught him cheating. No, please, I'm not condoning cheating. I caught my husband cheating. And in this relationship, you are the first wife. And then you throw away your husband for whatever reason that you throw him away. And then you're going to become a girlfriend to another boy, and your girlfriend number 5. Now, I'm not saying either side is good. Okay? You throw away this one because your husband is cheating, your wife is cheating on you, then you throw her away. And then you start another relationship where you're going to become the 3rd or the 4th girlfriend. Now, which one is better when you were number 1 in a relationship, and now you're in a position where you're number 15 and number 10? You throw away something in your hands, and the demon you're running away from in this relationship, you're going to meet him in another demon. I mean, you throw away a wife who has 2 children, and then you marry another one who has 2 children. What difference does it make? Is it not foolishness that we all find ourselves into? That sometimes you think you're making a right decision, when in fact the decision you're making is as equal to the decision that you're walking away from. So I've learned something in life. Fix your problems. Find solutions around them. But don't throw away the baboon. You may end up with a snake on your back. That is what you used to learn in these ancient stories. How to look at political issues using these stories. How to look at religious stories looking at these stories. You know, who is the pastor? Who is the church member? Who is the rabbit? Who is the baboon? Who is cooking the other? Is the pastor cooking me, or I'm cooking him? You know, who is the real enemy in this story? Is it Gudo, or is now the lion? Or is the snake? What role do I play in this story? So when you listen to those ancient folklore stories, they shaped our worldview. And right now, because we don't have some of these stories, we cannot tell whether the African is cooking the European or the European is cooking the African. But all I can tell you, that something is burning in the pot. And you need to find out exactly as to who is putting more fire under this pot and who is getting cooked. And after the African is cooked or the European is cooked, who will make a music instrument out of another man's bones? But for today, all I have for you, mbira zangu, mbira zangu. 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 Tapisa Gudo, mbira zangu. Tapisa Gudo, mbira zangu. Tasangana neshumba. Tasangana neshumba. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Katiza pinda mugomba. Katiza pinda mugomba. Katiza pinda mugomba. Katiza pinda mugomba. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Sangana nenyoka. Sangana nenyoka. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. Mafupa agudo. Mbira zangu, mbira zangu. That's all we had for you for this afternoon. Good afternoon, good afternoon, one. Good afternoon, all on your afternoon drive. Live with Maponga J. Broadcasting from Johannesburg, South Africa. Folklore stories, discussing our old traditional stories, finding solutions for the right issues, rewiring our software nicely in a simple African stories. And if you have any African stories that you may remember, we want to write these stories in your own tribe, write these stories, publish something. And if I had money, I would say all of you write your different folklore stories, put them together, email them to me or something, and we can publish a booklet together on African folklore stories and the lessons that we learn from these ancient tales. But for today, in every transaction, in every business, find out who is cooking who is taking advantage